everyone, and welcome to the Yarn Journey Crochet podcast. I am your host, Holly. Welcome to new viewers, and thanks for returning for previous viewers, not old viewers, previous viewers, I guess. I hope you all had a fabulous Veterans Day, if you're celebrating that or not. Here in the U.S., we just celebrated Veterans Day. And it's kind of a big deal because I have a lot of veterans in my family. So I hope everyone had a fun and safe Veterans Day. So this week I have started a lot of new projects. I don't know why, and I haven't really finished any, but I have quite a few new projects, but I have finished a couple and have frogged a couple. So yeah, let's move on to finished objects. So I'm looking down because I have notes here and I'm trying to get this a little bit more organized and making more sense. So yeah, finished objects. I have two as of right now. So I made this for my niece Hannah. I know I had another thing that I was making for her, but we'll get to that later. Excuse me. This is the Colin beanie winter hat. On my Etsy and Ravelry page. I have this up and ready for sale, and it is super cute and textured with these horizontal chevrons. They're super duper cute. I love the way this came out, and it's adorable. I love it. I'm thinking about making one for me. I don't know what color yet. Probably like a dark purple, because dark purple is my color. I am just loving this hat and the way it came out. This is also in Paintbox Yarns in the same colorways that I was going to do her cocoon, her movie night cocoon. So this is the royal blue 140, and then this is the duck egg blue. I can't remember the number, but that's the colorway name, is duck egg blue and royal blue. So I love the way this came out. It's super, oh God, just look at those chevrons. They're beautiful. Oh, love it. So that's my first finished object. I did that one in like sitting while watching a movie a night, and it was on and off my hook super duper fast. So number two, like I said, that was the Colin winter hat. And this was what it was inspired by. I started making this one for my son, and I started this but finished this one first. This is my little son's hat. Oh, I have fibers flying everywhere. Excuse me. I need a sip of my coffee from my awesome mug, which that is coming out backwards on my screen. So it says something beautiful is on the horizon. I love little inspirational mugs. Excuse me while I drink my coffee. Okay. Back to what I was saying. This is the Colin beanie, but this one was like a rough draft. I started this one and I felt it was a little too spaced out between the textures. So this was the rough draft. This is the final draft. So they're similar, but not the same. This is, the yarn is Bernat Softy Baby in Baby Blues, I think. Or Denim Blue? I think it's Baby Blues. I'm pretty sure it's Baby Blues. If not, it's Denim Blue. One of those two. My daughter decided she was going to take my yarn ball paper and rip it up. So I don't even remember what this one's called. But this one also has the little horizontal chevrons and the texture. So this one's super cute and it fits him perfectly and I love it. But that is it for finished objects. Next we'll go to whips because I have 1, 2, 3, 4 whips this time around. So I'll get to the one that I'm probably the furthest on, which is this bad boy right here. I'm doing the buffalo plaid, which I've sewn in a lot of ends already because you change colors every row between the black and the light red, and then you have the dark red. The dark red stays consistent through every row because it's in every row, but as you can see, so this is the dark red, the light red, and then you have black. So the red and the black come out every row. So yeah, I will say I don't mind the pattern itself. I mean, it looks beautiful. It looks just like buffalo plaid. But what I mean by the pattern is I am not, so when you make this, you have to carry your yarn all the way across. So, excuse me. So like right at this point, I'm working on the dark red, and as you can see, I'm carrying the black along with it. So when I get to the dark red, it's black, and you switch back and forth. I'm normally not a fan of carrying a yarn. I don't really like doing that because a lot of the times you end up seeing the yarn that you're carrying. And in order to not see it, you kind of have to pull it extra tight to make sure your stitches are super close together, meaning your tension gets super tight and it starts to hurt your hand. Which particularly because I'm using Red Heart Super Saver, and it's not the nicest yarn to work with. It's affordable for sure, and it's great for projects that you know is going to get a lot of wear and tear. It's going to hold up to it a lot better. But when you've worked with nicer yarns and it just glides nicely off the hook, and then you get this one, which, like I said, is not a bad yarn. It's just doesn't feel the nicest. It's not the softest yarn in the world, so it tends to, you have to work a lot harder at crocheting it. So especially going from one of my projects that is super duper soft yarn, actually most of my other projects are like, they're still affordable yarns, great yarns, and but they're a lot softer. So it's hard to go from these ones that glide off your hook so nicely to then this, and you're like, you gotta struggle with it a little bit. So I think if I ever do this again, I'm gonna get a nicer yarn, a softer yarn, I should say, not nicer. But yeah, my dad, he wants a kind of like a placemat for his dresser, because when he comes home from work, he tends to just throw everything on his dresser, empties his pockets, keys, hat, everything. Well, it's starting to beat up the top of his dresser. So he wanted a kind of like a placemat to put down on there to protect it so it doesn't get ruined, because this dresser he's had for over 25 years. He and my mom got it when they were newly married, and I'm 24, and they got married when the year before my sister was born. So yeah, and my sister is 31, so yeah. But yeah, this is the buffalo plaid that I'm doing for my dad, which I really love the way it looks. It looks amazing. It looks just like the buffalo plaid that you see on shirts and blankets. I love it. I was thinking actually about doing it in blue for my bed. I tend to use blue a lot just because I feel like it's a color that goes well with pretty much anything. Especially decorating wise, I feel blues are really nice in homes. I don't know why. Oh. So yeah, there's that. That's one of my whips. And like I said, that's all Red Heart yarn. The light color is burgundy. Obviously the black is black. And the dark color is Claret, or I have a feeling it's Claret, but it's spelled Claret. And then underneath it says Bordeaux, so I'm guessing that would be the French word for Claret. Claret. I don't know. Ugh, coffee. Okay. My next project, I'll break it up because one has a fair amount to it, and then my other two I just started last night. So we'll go to my next whip, which is, you can't really tell what it is right now because like I said, I just started it last night. This is Fair Isle Crochet with Tunisian. It's Fair Isle Tunisian Crochet. So I have been seeing a lot of these Norwegian, like, it's supposed to look like knitting. So you can see some of the knit stitches forming. I've been seeing a lot of the Norwegian type patterns with their stars and their mooses, and just I've always loved the way they've looked, and I never knew what it was called until I was watching one of the other podcasts and they were talking about Fair Isle, and I was like, what is that? What does that mean, Fair Isle? Well, it's the way that you crochet with, here's the back. You bring your strings in the back, which is why you can't really do this in normal crochet. It's technically knitting, but with Tunisian, you can kind of mimic the knit look as well as not having to turn your work. So with that, with Fair Isle, it basically means you're not dragging, but you're leaving strings out, and it's supposed to double thickness the fabric, which in Norway, they use that a lot for sweaters. So it's double fabric almost, and it's super warm for the winters. But I've loved the patterns that I've seen on their sweaters, and you see leggings every winter come out with these beautiful patterns, and I'm just like, how do they do that? Well, I figured out what Fair Isle was, and that is pretty much what they call their Norwegian way of crocheting or knitting, which, like I said, is mainly knitting, because with crochet you have to turn it unless you're doing Tunisian or Tunisian. I'm not sure. So yeah, that is when I've started, and this is going to be a pot holder for my grandma. They're not super duper big, but I mean, it's a little bigger than the average pot holder. So, and these I'm doing with paint box. Oh wow, that is super duper muted. This is like a really super pretty bright green. This is in colorway 130. I'm not sure what that is called, but this camera is doing this yarn no justice. It is like the perfect bright saturated green that you see everywhere during Christmas, that bright green. So that's what this is, but it's coming out super dark, and I don't know why. Like, it's, oh god, I love this yarn. This is their Simply DK. Yeah, so this is 100% acrylic yarn. I will, in the show notes that I put up on Ravelry for these, I will put the actual colorway, not just the number. The number is in there, but I put the actual name. So that is the green color, and then I'm also using their colorway 102. See, that comes out like perfect. It's super pretty. It's like a creamy white. Also Simply DK paint box yarns. I love their yarn. It's super soft. But yeah. Yeah, I keep saying, so yeah. Sorry. But that is what I'm working on for my grandma. And like I said, that I'll explain a little more once we get to the frogged items, or frog/unfinished items. So next would be socks, which, like I said, this is another one that I just started last night. I started this one. I was like, wait, no, I have something else I need to do first. And I was starting the slip stitch ribbing for the top of my sock, which I think I'm going to make it a little longer because I kind of like when socks have those long, excuse me, when socks have those really long, like, elasticy bands for your legs. I've decided to make my socks. Normally I buy like a pair of wool socks every winter, or one or two pairs. But like I said before, I have really big calves. So nothing really wants to fit my legs properly. So those socks that normally come up really like about mid-calf, or are supposed to hit mid-calf, they pretty much don't go that high on me. They're like high ankle socks, basically. My yarn's all knotted, but yeah, this is the start of my slip stitch ribbing that I am hopefully gonna have finished soon. Well, not soon. It's gonna take a while, a few days, but hopefully by next podcast I will have a lot more progress done than that. The yarn that I'm using is Loops and Threads Kai or K. And the colorway Cake. I thought this was super, like, this is not coming out. Like, this is looking like a dark gray, and it's like this bright purple. Like, those are like, that's purple. Those dark colors are purple. And there's pinks and blue and white, and I love it. And it's super soft and squishy. Like, oh yes. You just want to use it as a pillow because it's so soft. This is a lightweight yarn on the yarn scale. It says to use a 5mm hook, but because I'm doing socks, I'm using a 3, which I noticed I was getting kind of caught up quite a bit. So I might switch it to either a 3.5 or 4. But I noticed that when I'm actually crocheting it, like the yarn is getting kind of strandy, and what am I doing? Ding dong. Slip stitch. Like it'll get strandy and like that. If you can see this little, there's a little piece right there that fell off the hook, which is supposed to be around it. So, yeah, so I'm thinking about, I'm going to use a bigger hook, so I'm going to have to frog that little bit that I did, which is no big deal because it's hardly anything, and start over with a bigger hook. Next object, which I'm super duper excited about. I started this, like, had an epiphany, and I was like, I need to do this. Oh, and if you're wondering, my shirt says, I will start working when my coffee does. I'm a huge coffee drinker. So if I don't have my coffee, I'm useless. I'm just grouchy and want to sit on the couch all day. Coffee is my best friend. Okay. Next object is this scarf. Now, this is in the makings of possibly being a pattern, depending on how it comes out and stuff. So, I am having a little issue with sizing, if that makes sense. So, here it is. I'm thinking I'm going to call this the apple of my eye scarf, and maybe even shawl. But as you can see, it has these beautiful eyelets all over, and I'm just totally digging this eyelet look. Well, I wanted to do a little something to break it up. Well, the stitch count on the bottom row that I started on, so this little double crochet row, same stitch count as up here, but it is like flaring out on the sides. And then I wanted to do a little, I guess this is called fillet crochet, or it's similar to it because it's kind of gappy and you're supposed to come in with extra stuff. But I wanted to do a little mesh part that wasn't eyelets, just simple mesh, and then another part, and then moving back to the eyelets, and then do a long part, and then once it starts getting closer to the end, do that again. But like I said, I'm getting these weird edges. I've never had this problem before. So I'm wondering if my tension just got really loose up here, or maybe it'll be fine once it's blocked, because I mean, there's some stretch, there's some give, so if I block it, it should come out, you know, if I was to kind of pull this way and then pull that way, it might straighten out. And then I was thinking, well, maybe I'll just do an edge, like a border around it to make like a nice finished edge. But I'm like, but if it's that wonky, you're still going to see it whether there's an edge or not. So I'm debating whether or not I should frog it to this part, and that's why I kind of stopped on it, because I mean, I was going full steam on this one for a couple days, and I kind of just got a little discouraged because it was coming out a little funky. But then when you see this part, like this transition to this, to the eyelets again, they look fine. So I don't know. So I need to figure out if I'm going to frog this back down to just the eyelets and maybe decrease a couple rows for this, and then once I get back to up here, increase. I don't know. But I am loving the way it's turning out. It's textured and I love the eyelets. I really want to keep this mesh, like I want to keep this kind of design, but I'm wondering if it would work better if it was in a shawl pattern instead of a scarf. So yeah, I'm from California. We say that a lot. And this, oh, I love the feel of this yarn. I'm using the, hold on, I'm all messed up here. I'm using the Lion Brand Mandala yarn in the colorway 217 Genie. I am loving, this feels so nice to work with. And this is a light on the yarn scale, so it's a 3, and this one says to use a 5mm crochet hook but a 3.75mm knitting needle. So yes, oh my gosh, I love these yarns. This is my first time working with it. I've loved using cake yarns. I've used Caron cakes, I've used what is this one called? Oh, that's a Caron cake. I've used the Premier Sweet Rolls, and I like those. I like Caron cakes better than Sweet Rolls, but Sweet Rolls come in really cute colors. They're more I feel like they're not kid colors, but there isn't very many neutrals. They're all very bright, which is not a problem. If you like bright colors, Sweet Rolls are for you, for sure. But like this one, yeah, it has a bright color, but the rest are kind of neutrals, which is why I liked this one so much. So that is my other whip that I'm working on. My yarn is everywhere. So that one I'm super duper excited about. And that is pretty much it for whips. I'm putting my little stitch marker back on there so I remember that which side is the wrong side and right side. Okay. Now, I have frogged items and just stopped making others. Last episode, I was talking about my husband's socks, and I got to the point where I was working on them, and I'm like, I looked at him, I'm like, are you even going to wear these? And he told me no a few weeks ago, but I thought, okay, maybe he's just saying that, but once they're finished, he'll wear them. Oh, and I just looked at him, I'm like, are you really not going to wear these? He says, no, I'm not going to wear them. I probably won't. I'm like, so I was like, okay. I cut the yarn. I was like, I'm done. I'm not even going to frog it because there really wasn't that much left. Wasn't really much there. So I was just like, you know what? I'm not even going to frog it because there really wasn't that much yarn and I still had a huge ball left anyways. And I was just like, well, you don't get any socks. So that item is nixed. I'm not doing it anymore. And I hate doing that. Like, I hate stopping mid-projects. Like, I have one sock and then, like, the toe of another sock. I hate stopping. But I felt like I didn't want to waste any more time on a project that he's not even going to use or wear. So that, frustrating, but I wasn't going to waste any more time on it. Next item, because there's 3. The movie night cocoon that I was making for my niece, unfortunately, I did not have enough yarn to reach the 40 inches to get the perfect, you know, square to do the cocoon on top of doing the cuffs. I didn't have enough yarn, which meant I would have had to order more yarn, and that means I would have had to wait over a week to get the yarn. Then I had to finish the project, and I was just really worried I wasn't going to have enough time to finish it. And so I frogged that and made the beanie in the beginning that you saw instead, because I figured it would be fast, it's practical, she can use it. I wasn't sure if she would even use the cocoon or not, and the reason I picked it is because they live in California and it doesn't get super duper cold where they're at. You know, they're not up in Northern California where they get snow or a lot of rain or it's just cold. So I did that one because I was like, well, it won't be super duper warm because it is granny squares. Or not, it's like a large granny square made into a sweater. So it won't be super duper warm and like too warm where she could wear it during winter, because I mean, it's still in the mornings it'll get down to like the 30s, but most of the time it doesn't get below 50. I mean, it's rare when it gets in the 30s unless it's like in the middle of the night. But on average it's 50s. So it's still cold enough to wear a sweater, but you don't want something that you would wear, you know, here in Virginia where it can get down into the 20s midday. And, you know, you don't want to get overheated. So I figured that would be perfect for her. But I just didn't have enough yarn. I thought I had enough. I mean, I used 4 balls of yarn, but it just wasn't enough. So that is my second frogged item. And the third is more of a giant mishap. Now I can show it to you. So it was my grandma's pot holders, which I had one completed, finished. They're super big, and that's why she liked them. They were nice and big and just perfect for those really big soup pots or roaster pans that you use, you know, for casseroles or whatever. Nice big one. Okay. Got one finished, even finished the second side of the other one. And I'm like, okay, perfect. Moving right along. No big deal. Or is that the short one? Okay. Yeah. So this is the normal size one. This is the way it's supposed to look. Really pretty. Super excited. And I started the second one. Okay. Started it. Took a break from it because it was getting kind of monotonous. So stopped, took a break. Well, this one, I don't know what happened. I don't know if I accidentally switched the hook size. I don't know if my tension changed or what. But as you can see, the row where this is 2 rows of the purple, and it's just hitting the very top of that white. And it's supposed to be up there. So I don't know what happened, but it's too short. I'm missing like 5 rows, but I don't understand how, because you're supposed to go by 37 stitches. Once you have 37 stitches across, you crochet 5 additional rows. Well, it was 37 and I did the 5 rows, and I'm still 5 rows short. So I know I'm missing rows, and I know I probably switched tension Like, it's a better, actually, you can better judge by seeing the bottoms. Like, that's a lot of rows. And I don't know what happened. And I figured, okay, well, I'll frog it and redo it. Only problem is, as you can see, they get cut. You don't bring your yarn up, you cut them. You fasten off per the instructions. Well, I was like, okay, well, I can't use this same batch of yarn because we already know it's short. And the amount of yarn that I had left was not enough to redo an entire side. And, oh, sorry, fibers everywhere. I always have this problem with fibers getting in my mouth. Maybe it's because I open my mouth too wide when I talk. So I didn't have enough purple to finish. Yes, I could probably go buy more, but my whole purpose was I didn't want to buy yarn to make any projects. I wanted to use my stash. I have all kinds of yarn that I can use, and I figured, yeah, I can make a different set, but I'm like, I don't know if I have time to redo this one, and I really, although the pattern is super cute, it's really not that fun to crochet. And, you know, when I have so many other projects going on for other people, I wanted to do something that I'm going to enjoy crocheting, but is still practical for my grandma to use. So that one, although it isn't frogged, it's unfinished and probably not going to finish it. But I am doing the Fair Isle Tunisian crochet pot holders for her, and I think she's going to love that just because, I mean, it's a beautiful pattern. And I will put a link to the picture if I can't get the actual picture up in the video. So I'm hoping I can just put the picture in like where I'm talking about it and just poop, slice it in. But I'm going to try and edit this so it looks a little bit more professional and not just webcam talking, which is basically what I'm doing. So yeah. Now I wanted to talk about patterns I want to try or start doing. These stinking fibers. That's the one thing with yarn. You always end up getting little fibers in your mouth all the time. It's kind of, well, when you're crocheting, you're not talking most of the time, but there are quite a few patterns that I have found on Ravelry. And some of them, well, obviously I want to do more Fair Isle because I love the Norwegian style crocheting or knitting. With knitting, it seems like Fair Isle would actually be really easy to knit because it's all knit stitches. It's just doing the color work, so picking up colors, but there's so many videos on how to do that. And I know the one I was watching was a beanie, and it was by Marley Bird, and she was doing the, oh my goodness, let me see. It was a beanie, and it was like the snowfall slouchy beanie or something along those lines of, it's a knit stitch, and it's Fair Isle. Where are you going? But another one that I wanted to try is I really, and it's not because I absolutely love the look of it, it's the fact that I haven't been able to get it, is I really want to try to knit something. Like I said, it's not, I feel like knitting is more for displaying your yarn. So that's why I feel like knitters love indie dyers. They love these bright, sparkly, speckled yarns, which are cute. They're amazing. Or the self-striping. I feel like knitting is for displaying your yarn. And crochet, I feel, has a lot to do with design. Because there's a lot of knitting things that I've seen that, I mean, aren't necessarily pleasing, they aren't necessarily extraordinarily knit objects. I mean, some of the most popular patterns are fairly basic looking. I don't want to insult anybody, but they don't seem like, oh wow, that looks like that's super hard to knit. Like that looks like the design is just holy cow, you know? Like they look basic, but I feel like it's more for displaying different yarn types and colorways and fading your yarns together. So it has a lot to do with the yarn itself, where I feel like crochet is more design based. So it's to design to basically show off your design and your yarn. Like, so with my eyelet scarf, I feel like it's more to display the actual pattern. The yarn just accents the pattern. The yarn, you know, it's not second runner up, but I mean, the pattern is the important part, right? Like we want, oh my God, I love that pattern. And I know a yarn that would complement that pattern the best way possible. So I want to learn to knit, not because of it being extraordinarily pretty, unless it's Fair Isle. I mean, that stuff's gorgeous, but their color work is gorgeous. But oh my God, off topic. I want to learn to knit because it's something that I cannot seem to get, and it's driving me bananas. And I'm not someone who, you know, there we go. I'm not someone who does something and can't get it. I've always been that person that as soon as I try something, I can pretty much get it. I understand, I can do it. I may not be the best, but I can do it. And with knitting, I have not been able to do it, and it's driving me crazy. And I want to get it so bad, but I can't. So I want to learn, and I'm determined to learn. So the knitting pattern that I've been looking at is the Honey Cowl pattern by the designer Antonia Shankland. It's a free pattern, and it's supposed to be an easy pattern. It's listed as easy, so I'm hoping I can get it. I'm gonna try because like I said, it's driving me crazy. I've never been able to not do anything. So when I'm not able to do it, like I said, it drives me bananas, and I really, really, really am determined to figure it out, which I know I want to do the Fair Isle knitting just because it is just the knit stitch, and I know I can do the knit stitch. It's a matter of dropping, you know, stitches and stuff, which is my issue. Not dropping stitches. I tend to add stitches where there are none. So I end up getting giant holes. Let's see. So, okay, the hat that I was watching her make is the snow speckled hat, which is the Fair Isle knitting, which I really want to try so bad. But other than that, some patterns that I have been wanting to try, there are quite a few that I've added to my favorites. I'm just going to go to my favorites and see the ones that I just recently added. I tend to put them in the bundles, but a lot of them are Christmas related. So there's like this little deer family. Oh my gosh, it is so adorable. They're little plushies, and it's by Rachel Randall, and it is this cute. There are 4 little deers. There's like a mama deer, a daddy deer, and little 2 babies, and I'm like, oh my gosh, I want to eat them. They're so cute. And the pattern is $6, so it's a little pricey if you ask me, but it does use paint box cotton yarns, and it's DK weight. I don't know if I would use the cotton or not, but I am in love with that pattern. And something that I really wanted to make, where are you? Obviously, I want to make my dog a sweater because I'm that crazy. Oh, another one is called the Cafe Grande. And it's basically like a Oh my gosh, what is that word? Oh my gosh, I'm totally blanking. It's like the foots where you put your feet when you're sitting on the couch and you put your feet up on it. Oh, an ottoman. It's kind of like an ottoman, but it's a crocheted one, and it's by A Cup of Crochet. It is so cute. It is a paid pattern at $4, and it is adorable because, one, I love coffee. I love anything coffee. So it's $4, and it's like an ottoman, and they come in huge sizes. The sizes available say jumbo, extra large, huge, and giant. So it's made with Bernat blanket solids, and I am just totally digging it. I so want one. Obviously, a lot of these are going to be done after Christmas time, just because I've been super duper busy with crocheting for everybody else but me. And yeah, I have so much stuff to do for Christmas. Oh, this next one is the Kaleidoscope. It's the Hexagon Plum Kaleidoscope Afghan by Deanne's Designs. And it's a paid pattern at $1.99, so a lot cheaper than some of the other ones. And it is gorgeous. I love the hexagon pattern. I know they have the squared off kaleidoscope patterns, which are also super duper pretty, but I think the horizontal just gives it a little extra. It's like more visually pleasing to the eye, in my opinion. I think it's a lot super duper pretty. So yeah, those are 3 of the patterns that I would like to try sometime in the future, hopefully soon. I know I started going on a rant about what I wanted to try last time, and I didn't even tell you the shawl that I wanted to make, so I'll tell you now. Actually, I'll go to my bundles, that way I can find it a lot easier. I have an issue sometimes getting sidetracked, and I'm like, oh, I want to tell you about this, and then I saw some other stuff that I wanted to show you anyway. That was nothing to do with what I was talking about originally. The one that I've been wanting to try is the Lothia and the Irigenia. Oh my gosh, I am butchering these names. I'm so sorry. But in the show notes, I will have links to the patterns to Ravelry. I'm not sure if they're paid or not. The Edalothia is free, and the Irigenia is also free. So there's 2 free beautiful patterns that are shawl patterns, and they are just gorgeous. Oh my gosh, I've been wanting to do them, but I don't have any I believe I don't have any fingering weight yarn. I think the smallest I have is light. So that's unfortunate. Oh my gosh, I just realized I have coffee on my yarn. Oh my no. Oh no. Well, luckily this is for me, so I'm not too worried about it. So yeah, at this point it's live chat, which isn't gonna be too crazy, but this week I have been in the Christmas spirit. Like I said before, I don't know if you can hear it, but I do have Christmas music going in my living room. I've already pulled out my Christmas tree. I've put lights on it yesterday with my daughter. I'm loving our weather right now. I think it's like supposed to, the high today is like, I think it's like 38 or 40. So it's been super chilly, and I am loving it. I am not a hot weather person. I hate hot weather, and that's one thing that I was so glad when we left California. I was like, yay! I actually get seasons. I get cold weather. I get to experience life like most people who don't live in the desert. Which a lot of people mistake that California is this great lush green place, which most of California is desert, especially mid to Southern California. If you're not living in the cities along the coast or a little about an hour inland, you're in desert. It's not all Hollywood and, Rodeo Drive or San Francisco. It's like when people think of California, they think, oh, San Francisco, oh, LA, oh, San Diego, all great places. But that's not California as a whole. It's mainly desert. It's not anything super spectacular. Don't get me wrong, we get most of it's desert, but like I said, if you're living about an hour inland, an hour and a half inland, there are, we have the San Bernardino Mountains, which does get snow. There's Big Bear, and so you get snow and mountains, and then you have ocean, and then, you go up north and you get the seasons because you're a lot closer to like Oregon. And then Southern California, I mean, you have all types of landscaping, but for the most part, it's desert. But anyways, that's totally besides the point. I don't even know where I was going with that. Oh, the weather. I'm loving this cold weather. I'm like in love because I can actually wear makeup now without sweating it off. Summer, I'm constantly in a state of melting. Because it is humid in Virginia, and I'm not used to humidity. I mean, I've lived here for 3 years, and I'm still not used to it. Because California, the heat there is what we call a dry heat. There isn't very much humidity. And, you can go outside and it's 100 degrees, and yeah, it's hot, but you probably won't sweat within the first minute you walk outside like you do when you're in here. I start sweating as soon as I walk out my front door with the air conditioning. Where there's no air conditioning, I'm just sweating. And, California was totally different. You could be outside for 20 minutes and start to sweat because just the actual heat, not the humidity. But yeah, we've been loving this weather, and I'm going to enjoy it. And I am totally in the Christmas spirit, and I don't care. I'm totally a cliche. I used to be that person that was like, oh my God, it's November. Like, stop it. It's not time for Christmas yet. We haven't even had Thanksgiving. Like, calm down. Not this year. Because I've been so busy crocheting for Christmas presents. I am gung-ho Christmas. And I know I'm probably going to, like, burn myself out on Christmas before it gets here. But I don't even care this year. I'm just like, Christmas! Halloween was fun and great, and I loved it, and I was totally into it. But after the candy high and the sugar high has worn off, I'm ready for Christmas. So I have worked on my project bags. I went out and got Christmas fabric because I know a lot of people are working on their Christmas bags right now, and mishap central for that one. I decided to go out and purchase zippers with it, and I started doing them, and I put them on backwards. So you have your lining and then your outside fabric. Well, for some reason, I had a blonde moment because I am naturally blonde, although you can't tell as much because my roots look so dark compared to these bright colors. I am naturally blonde, so I did have a blonde moment, and I put my lining on the outside of my bag and the other one on my outside fabric on the inside. And I was like, I started to rip it out, the seam, and it started to rip my fabric. And I was like, oh no, not today. Please not today. So I just had to sit it down, walk away, and I was just like, I'll come back to that disaster later. But it was starting to look really good, and I was super surprised. but I'm really hoping to get that finished and up soon because these Christmas ones are so cute. I have little Santas and snowmans and holly inside fabric and polka dots. Oh, it's cute. I love them. So that is pretty much it for this episode. I will have the show notes of all the yarns I used, all the all the yarn, all the patterns, and any videos or anything I've mentioned will be in the show notes on Ravelry. So if you would like to get those and see everything without having to rewatch this video a billion times, you can head over to Ravelry, and it is the Yarn Journey Crochet podcast group. And that is where you will find me. And if you need to contact me for any reason, do it there because I have no idea how to answer messages on YouTube. So I hope you guys have a wonderful Sunday, and I will see you next week.